I just turned 27 this year, and everybody told me before I turned 27, they was like, you're gonna have like not a midlife crisis, but like a pre-life, quarter life crisis.
Yeah, I had that at 25.
So maybe I'm a late bloomer. Mine came a little late, but it really allowed me to start looking at stuff differently. Like even down to when situations don't go the way that I want them to go.
Hey everyone, I'm Melanie
And I'm Kobi-Rae.
and you're watching your favorite show on NCRF TV, Life Lessons.
Woo woo.
We are back for another amazing episode. Today, I'm excited. We're talking about leveling up. We're talking about building your confidence. We're talking about building leadership skills. Ultimately, it means a lot of different things to a lot of different people, but we are getting to the root of how you can become your best self and reach your full potential. And we have some great guests to talk about this with.
Yes, we have our guests Robbie Brue and Kay today.
Hey.
We are super excited to have you guys here. Tell the audience a little bit about you guys.
Oh, well, yeah, me, Robbie Brue, Hayward, California native, super happy to be here. A recruiter at the #1 HBCU in the state of Texas as well. If you didn't already know, now you know.
Kayla's about to be like number one. Wait.
All right. Well, my name is Kay Lewis. I am here from the great state of South Carolina. I'm currently a adjunct professor and recruiter at the #1 HBCU in South Carolina, top 12 in the country, Claflin University. Glad to be here with you ladies.
Hey now.
Awesome.
And we wouldn't be NCRF TV if we didn't do an NCRF plug, right? These schools are both our partners. We do a lot with both of these schools, right?
They actually help us with our dual enrollment program. We do it through them. They service students all over the country. So we're super excited that you guys are here. We love plugging your universities because, you both said they're the best. So hopefully we'll have some students
somebody
out
had
there.
to be lying. I'll tell you that. Yeah, somebody might have been
Hopefully
lying.
there will be a student out there that goes to one of your universities or both and sees for themselves.
But I think too, like, you must really love your universities because you both actually are alums of the schools that you now work for.
Yes.
Right?
Correct. Yeah, I myself am a proud alum, class of 2024. I was a big time baseball player as well on campus. So
Big time.
Oh, of course,
Okay.
prime time. That's what.
Okay.
Sorry, Dion,
Exactly.
but somebody got to do it. So yeah.
And I actually got my bachelor's in the year 2018. I got my master's in 2020 from Claflin. So they have definitely shaped me into the woman that I am today.
That is beautiful. Awesome. So in other words, these schools have helped you to level up.
Amen.
Okay, well, let's get
Amen.
into it
Let's
then.
do it.
Let's talk about what leveling up means to you. When you hear that term, what does that mean to you?
I think the first thing that comes to mind for me is evolving as a person. Being able to look at where you were maybe just a year ago, and acknowledging your growth as well, what it took to get to where you are today, and how you can be a better person day by day to become who you want to be.
Yes, I love that.
Agreed.
Yeah. For me, I would definitely say, just becoming the best version of yourself. A lot of times people just get stuck in their comfort zone. Getting comfortable, being uncomfortable, I think is a big thing that can definitely help you come into yourself and level up, if you will. So
That's a good one.
Yes.
Being comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is, I would say that's a strength. Do you guys agree? Like, is that one of the strengths that you need to, in your core self, to level up?
I do believe that. Just like it's like being able to spread your wings and grow into that butterfly. Like we talked about earlier, being able to sacrifice your old self and some of your old habits as well. To become that person that you want to be, it's all about sacrificing old habits to get to where you want to go.
Man, yeah, I think that's definitely big, K. Yeah, that sacrifice, being able to motivate yourself to do the stuff that other people aren't willing to do. A lot of times, if you do want to become the best version of yourself, you have to learn how to say yes, but you also learn how to say no. Excuse me.
That is so
you definitely
important.
have to learn how to say no. So a lot of people just want to, go out and do the thing, like kind of fake the funk, but being able to step back and be like, oh no, who am I? What kind of values do I have?
Mm-hmm.
You said, who am I? That was exactly what I wanted to get at, because I think that in order to get to these points where we're doing all of these things we need to know who we are. So let's talk about self-awareness for a bit, right?
Oh, let's do it. Self-awareness is really important. And I feel you can disagree with me. I feel like that is something that it takes a lot of people a long time to figure out.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to be self-aware, isn't it?
I agree.
You don't know what you don't know.
You have to be willing to self-evaluate.
Yes.
Also, and that comes with saying, hey, these are some good things about myself that I love, but these are also some things that I don't like too much and I might need to work on as well. So it takes being transparent, and being vulnerable as well.
Yeah, no, I definitely couldn't agree more with that. You know, yeah, being vulnerable and being able to take constructive criticism as well. You know, not people aren't always trying to be critical. You know, sometimes they're just trying to give you a little bit of constructive criticism. You know, like okay, and not being so sensitive. You know, at times and taking everything to heart. Okay, you know, like take what they say, evaluate it. Sometimes take it with a grain of salt if you have to. You know, but a lot of times people are kind of just telling you what they see, and you can either choose to fight or you could choose to fly.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of times if you could self-evaluate and you find that fight in you, you end up a better person at the end of the day.
Yeah, I feel like that self-awareness makes like hearing criticism a lot easier because somebody's telling you something that maybe you've kind of already told yourself or you understand about yourself, but you're maybe denying it. And sometimes that criticism from other people like can push you to really recognize that.
Yes.
Because you could be, I also think that it's important for you to be self-aware and kind of know how to fix it if something about yourself isn't like the best or you don't like XYZ about yourself. Like I think being self-aware is the first step. Would you agree?
Yeah, it's just being honest with yourself. That's what it all boils down to me. Like I said, honesty and transparency.
Let me ask you a question. Has anyone here ever been in a situation where you were forced to confront something about yourself, whether you realized it previously or you were now put onto that, but now you had to confront something and maybe adjust?
What do you mean? I deal with that every single day.
Right, I was thinking that.
I'll be honest. You know, I'm 25 years old, so, and I'm just now getting into my new role. Something that I previously struggled with kind of in a past life is just being organized, you know, just in all facets of my life, whether it's my office space, whether it's my social life, whether it's, you know, balancing my work and my social life, you know, and just learning how to be organized and you know, kind of figure and navigate things, you know, on your own. That's definitely something that I think I'm not struggling with, but am forced to confront and face every single day.
Yeah. Where do you learn your strengths and weaknesses? Like how has that come about in your life?
I feel like with me, it's just been trial and error.
Right.
Being able to fall, and I'm a very stubborn person. I've come to terms with that. Working on that every day.
And did you discover that you were a very stubborn person because other people tell you that, or because you keep having similar experiences? How do you discover
It's a little
that?
bit of both.
Okay.
So being able, like you said, being able to be self-aware to say, like, catching yourself in a moment, it's like, okay, I didn't have to.
I didn't have to do all that.
You know, like, so being able to just clock yourself, having that one person,
Clock it.
you can literally know, like you said, know something or you have hinted at something about yourself. That's like, okay, I need to work on that. But it takes one good person that you love, might be that older family member, might be your auntie, your play cousin, whoever, to get into you one good time, and it's like, oh, okay.
Tell you about yourself.
No, let me really start working on that, because you know, like you said, other people see it. Sometimes it takes that to bring it to light, but like you said, it depends on how you receive it.
Yes, it's the receiving. Being able to receive it is, I think, a big strength, and I feel like it's something you develop over time, right? Like, I know we all, like, when we were first going to college, how stubborn were you?
We thought we knew it all.
Man.
Everything.
Yeah.
I think about that all the time.
Yes.
We all work with we all work with teenagers, kids, like, and we see that they think that they know it all, huh?
Yeah.
And we're just like, oh, I was you. you
Yeah,
gonna learn. You gonna learn today.
You're gonna learn today. Yeah, you're right. But it's so funny that you even bring that up, because I think about that all the time. And like, man, if I was in your guys' shoes, what would I do so much different? You know, to be able to elevate even where I'm at today. You know, I tell people all the time, and I'm able to laugh about it now. But if I were be able to step back and kind of do things a little bit different, I wouldn't even be in the position that I'm in now, which is a good position. I love the position that I'm in now. You know, but I feel like there's always so much more for people that, you know, they just miss out on because they're just so stuck in their ways. Like, you have to learn how to say yes. You know, like, take some risk. You know, get like I started this conversation with, get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Right,
you know,
right.
so much can come from that.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And how do you guys feel like you developed like confidence to do that? Because it takes a certain amount of confidence to be comfortable being uncomfortable. Like, you have to confidently take a risk because you know that you're gonna catch yourself. You know what I mean? But when you're younger, it's just you don't know if you're gonna catch yourself, so you don't take those risks.
Exactly.
Like, how do you feel like your confidence has been built in that like area of your life?
I feel like for me, it's just happening recently, okay? Like, I'm just now kind of getting it together.
Yes.
I'm 27, so I feel like I said, through trial and error, I'm figuring out what works and what does not work for me personally. I don't know. Just ask me the question one more time. I'm sorry.
Yeah, like confidence, building confidence, but also too, I want to kind of weave this into this whole idea of personal branding, right? Because you know, we say now, like, you have to have a brand, right? So we talk about being self-aware, so you have to be aware of who you are in order to know what your brand is, and then you have to be confident in who you are, right? But how do you decide this is the person I present to the world? Like, you see what I'm saying? That brand. How do you develop, like, HT is now part of your brand,
sure.
right? So, like, how do you develop that brand? That's that presentation.
Oh no, I think that's a great question. I would say just some people. I don't even want to say some people have it and some people don't.
Yeah.
I would just say that it can be a learned skill, but you definitely have to be comfortable in your own skin, you know.
Yeah.
Like, when you see other people, you're like, oh, don't be envious or jealous of things that they might have. You'll be like, okay, well, even if they have that and I like that, well, what can I do to level up, right? And get to that or get to something similar that I might want.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Yeah. And know what makes you, right? I think that's the biggest ingredient to your personal brand. Personal, keyword, personal.
Yeah.
This is who I am. So what are these things that I may think that I have that not everybody else has? Let me play this up.
Right.
And make me stand out.
Right. Yeah. No, I definitely agree. Like, you gotta want to be that guy.
Yeah.
In a sense, but you have to be okay
Or that
with a little
girl.
bit of failure now too. You know, because with great when you're willing to bear the load, sometimes you drop some things.
Yeah.
You know, and that's okay because
good.
because
That's good.
at least
so many good
at least you were
analogies.
willing
Right.
at least you were willing to bear that load. You know,
Yeah.
a lot of people be like, I'm good. You know, but if you're willing to take on the task, you never know, you might make it to the top of the mountain with everything. But you never know if you're too scared, too timid.
Right.
I also feel like it also comes along with, like you said, being comfortable with yourself, but being able to be vulnerable. People put on a persona sometimes that everything is peaches and cream, but being able to show every side of yourself in every season that you go through as well.
Yes.
So
And knowing when it's okay to be vulnerable, you know, and like, you know, when you should pull that back, right? Knowing, like, we're all professionals now, right? So that's a balancing act too, right? Just
Right.
how much can I reveal? How much can I show within the environment
What's
that
safe.
I'm in,
And
right?
like, the being vulnerable is very important because at this, especially in this time, like, you know, everything is moving so fast. Like, we have to check in on our mental health. So if your boss comes to you and asks you, like, oh, like, how are you doing? Are you doing okay with this? Like, you have to be confident in saying, actually, no, this task really confuses me and it's kind of been stressing me out. Like, I need help. Like, and even doing that is like, it takes a whole like set of confidence because
it does.
it's confidence and letting down your pride, because pride will
Stand in the way.
always.
But at the end of the day, you can't fake the funk either. You know,
Right.
because what's done in the dark is gonna come to the light. You know, and everybody's gonna end up laying in the bed that they make. So if you're honest with yourself and you're honest with others, usually it's gonna benefit you in the long run.
Yeah, that's true. And I know that you said like vulnerability played a lot. into like you kind of figuring out who you are, like is that like a mind shift that you had? Like, did you guys have a mind shift when you were like thinking about your personal brand and thinking about who you are and thinking about what you wanted to do and just figuring out how you're going to level up? Like, what was that one thing in your mind that like clicked that you were like, oh, I got to do this, or like, oh, I need to start thinking like this?
Frontal lobe.
I was going to say the same thing.
What is that?
Yeah,
frontal
the
lobe.
frontal
Not
lobe.
the
She
lobe.
asked what in my mind clicked. My frontal lobe
Yeah,
did. That's what it is.
Not the frontal
That's what
lobe.
it is,
No,
yeah.
you know what?
It's real,
That's
y'all.
real.
It's
That's
real.
real.
I just turned 27 this year, and everybody told me before I turned 27, they was like, you're going to have, like, not a midlife crisis, but, like, a
quarter-life
pre-midlife,
crisis.
quarter-life crisis.
Yeah, I had that at 25.
So maybe I'm a late bloomer. Mine came a little late, but it really allowed me to start looking at stuff differently. Like even down to when situations don't go the way that I want them to go. Like not why is this happening to me? Why is this happening for me? Like what is this going to help me with in the long run, becoming my future self? So yeah.
Right. What about you?
Sorry.
Besides your some people might not know what the frontal lobe development means.
Well, I mean, for the young men out there that might hear this, that means like just coming into yourself as a young adult, as a young professional. You know, like kind of putting those childish things away, understanding that there's a time and place for everything. You know, and yeah, you can have fun, but yeah, you got to be about business at some point too. Yeah. You know, because nobody likes just the clown. You know, like and my mom always told me, and my grandmother at that, no girl want no dummy. You know, so eventually, like, learn how to clean yourself up. And yeah, you could be funny, you could be cool, but at the same time, like, be about your shit. Or excuse my language, be about your stuff. You know?
No, we gotta clean it up. Stuff, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It isn't Tiara.
Yeah, sorry.
No,
I
we're good. You're
apologize.
good. No,
No,
you're
no,
good.
no,
You're
you're
good.
good.
You're good. Okay, so I love where we're headed here, right? So we have our self-awareness, right? And we have our confidence. We know who we are, and we're comfortable in that. Now, let's talk about when you have achieved all these things that you have leveled up, and you get yourself into the next room, and now that imposter syndrome starts to creep in. Has anyone experienced that imposter syndrome? What are the signs? What are the signs?
First, can you elaborate, even for some of your listeners, but also for me, imposter syndrome? Please elaborate.
Yeah. So like, I may have worked so hard to get this job, and I got the job now, right? But deep down, I don't really feel qualified. I don't really feel like I really belong here, even though I'm here.
Right.
I'm here. You know, there's a reason why they chose me. There's a reason why I'm in this room. But sometimes there's this something in us that doesn't rise to the occasion, and then that can keep us from continuing to level up.
Yeah.
Has anyone ever felt that way?
Of course, yes, definitely. Even I would say coming out of college and going into a role such as recruiting, and even for like larger name universities, I heard people say this as well. It's kind of like, okay, you apply to the job, but I know for me, I was kind of like, well, am I ready?
Yeah.
Like, am I capable to fulfill and hold up to my school's name and represent my school well? Like, am I dressed well enough? Do I present myself well enough in rooms? I'm gonna be in large rooms with big people.
Yeah.
Am I worthy? Oh my goodness. I and not even just then when I graduated college, I went through that just recently, like a year ago. When it comes to maybe like different promotions and things of that nature as well, you're kind of doubt yourself, like self-doubt. I don't know what it is. It's like, anxiety, stop.
What do you do when you're in those moments?
For me, sit back and think about, first of all, where I am, what it took to get to where I am, and be grateful for the journey to get there. I think sometimes we look so much at the future and what's ahead and what we want. We're not appreciative of where God brought us to, where we are now. So being able to sit back and be grateful, and just sometimes you just have to unplug and just get away from and I know a lot of people say with social media, they see people, like I said, they paint a perfect picture. Sometimes people get imposter syndrome that way. So and so got a promotion, I didn't get one, and I've been working, just
and Lord knows social media is not
Yes.
always telling the full story.
Always or ever. Because it depends on which way you look at it.
It plays a huge part. In comparison, it's the thief of joy. It's so true, but it can allow you to get into that space to have imposter syndrome.
Yeah. You ever experienced it?
I would say for sure. But once you get in the room, you got to believe that you belong.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a reason that they chose you. And if you don't think that, then maybe you should look for something else. And that's okay. But sometimes that's okay.
It's just that simple.
Because sometimes that's okay because you have to want to be there. You have to believe that this is where I belong because I'm here. Because if you don't, you're not gonna fly. You know what I mean? You're not gonna be the best version of yourself in that space. And at the end of the day, you're tricking your peers, but you're really only tricking yourself.
Yeah.
And that's the sad part about it.
And I think sometimes it takes time
Yes.
it's a new space, it's a new environment. You have to give yourself some grace.
But you got to push the envelope too.
I mean, of course,
you got to be willing to put. And guess what? If somebody's not gonna push my envelope, I'm gonna push my own. So
I love the way these two play off of each other. They have these different perspectives, and it's wonderful.
Well, I mean, because and again, I'm gonna bring the male perspective to it. Because,
and I love that.
At the end of the day, you can't wait for somebody else to help you. And that's one thing my dad, my grandfather always told me. Like, if you want something, you got to go get it for yourself.
Yeah.
You can't wait for people. Like, go gather your tools and go get it done.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, and I love that you say that, because women in the workforce, I think sometimes we can borrow a little bit of that because we tend to be the more emotionally led beings, which has its perks and which has its strengths in the world, in the leadership area, emotional intelligence. And
sometimes you gotta learn how to cut that emotion off a little bit though, and separate. Separate.
I do
balance. I think that's what we're getting at. Balance.
I feel like nowadays, I feel like I see, honestly, maybe a little bit of an saturation of women packing up the feelings and delivering. And they deliver, but the thing about women is, at the end of the day, it's like, it's still emotion because they're packing up and delivering, and then you lead yourself to a breaking point. And it's like, just because you packed it up and you left it for another time, the other time it could be a bigger thing that's detrimental. So balance.
Your 13th reason why.
Right. No, really, your 13th reason.
Well, and because we're going to talk about leadership skills in a bit, but emotional intelligence is really valuable in the leadership world.
Yeah.
And they do say that women tend to have a higher sense of it. And I think that allows you to be a great leader because you can then understand the needs of your team members, and you can motivate them, and you can connect with them and understand them and make them actually want to be there and want to do things for you. So, but at the same time, you don't want anybody to walk all over you. So I think that's why we have the balance, and I think it's okay to have both.
And you don't want anybody crying wolf all the time.
Exactly.
You don't want nobody, like, sometimes you need to pack it up.
Yes, indeed.
And I think that's just a part of leveling up, is learning that when to pack it up and when to recognize exactly how you're feeling and take that moment for yourself.
And I also think it's not taking things to heart sometimes. Sometimes things are business. It's just business. Literally no personal hard feelings. So, yeah.
And I think it's important because, like you said, sometimes with that imposter syndrome, like that anxiety, that like, why am I feeling like this? I think you could kind of take his approach and like kind of be confident in why you're there. And then I think that goes with like celebrating your small wins. Have you guys ever had any like, you like get in that?
I celebrate myself all the time. Look, and if some of my friends can't make it, sure, I'm still going. You better believe it. Look, table for one. You ever told them that, Kay? Come on, table for one. Yes, please. I'll have a seat at the bar, walk in by myself, because I'm gonna celebrate me.
Always.
You have to. You have to. You have
Said
to.
table for one.
You know,
yes.
let's take a step back and you know, and talk once again about this world that the two of you are in, this very unique world, this HBCU culture, you know, as alumni and then now work in the working place. How does being an HBCU environment help you to be able to develop these skills to overcome imposter syndrome, to build your confidence, you know, and all of those sorts of things?
Oh yeah, I'll take the lead on this one. I'll definitely say, especially me being from the West Coast, the HBCU experience definitely just helped me kind of come into myself as a black man. You know, like yeah, I'm from the Bay Area, and has a very rich Black African American culture, but just kind of getting out there on my own, around like-minded African American males, African American people in general, you know, that just want better for themselves, their families, and just want to do things on their own. I would definitely say the HBCU experience helped me just kind of come into that, which is extremely important. You know, I meet young men all the time at these different college fairs, and you know, they may be a little bit rough around the edges, but I could see a little bit of myself in them, because I'm definitely not the version that you get of me right now. Definitely wasn't the version that, you know, got out of junior college, you know, or arrived on HT's campus, you know, at 21, 22 years old, however old I was. Yeah, this version definitely took some seasoning up, you know, put me in the slow cooker and let me get right. Let me get right, so that way you can get this version that, you know, is now kind of taking over.
I love that.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I feel like within working in and graduating from a HBCU, my HBCU definitely helped develop my confidence. We call it the Claflin confidence for a reason.
Oh, okay.
So just like he said, fall 2015, when I got on that campus, I was very timid. I was very shy. I was scared to come out of my shell. I really did not come out of my room. But Claflin pushed me to become a leader, to be able to command the room, to be able to just have this confidence and this self-esteem to say, hey, I am just as good as anybody else in this room, or whoever else is going for this job, whether it's another race or however. So developing that confidence, they pushed me to be, like I said, the woman that I am today. And like you said as well, younger me would be very proud of where I am. And I really do owe that to my HBCU. So that's helping to know who you are, like I said, where you came from, helping to overcome that imposter syndrome.
And I just want to highlight, like, becoming your own person, you know, and being in the HBCU space, you see a lot of different people from a lot of different backgrounds, and I think you really have to be confident in who you are, you know, and sometimes I tell my mom all the time, you know, I hear your voice in my head in so many different situations, and she laughs at me because she's like, I don't even know, and I don't even tell her what situation it is. You know, I'm just like, Mom, just know that I value all those things that you taught me, and I'm able to kind of take them and let those core values exuberate out of me, you know.
What I feel like I'm hearing is that you have strong support systems, both in your personal lives, but then also within the HBCU environment. So let's talk about how a support system or mentors and all of those things can really help you to level up.
Yeah, me myself, I come from a very blessed family. My dad was an Oakland firefighter for 25 years. So I was always surrounded with, and he was big in the OBFFA, Oakland Black Firefighter Association community. So I was always around just very confident black men. You know, had a baseball team with black coaches. I had a black doctor growing up as well. And my mom tells me she went out there to make sure that her boys knew that you could be anything that you wanted to be. You know, and so I would definitely say my grandfather was a pharmacist as well. You know, so just, you know, making sure that.
Very accomplished.
Yeah, very accomplished family. You know, and I'm blessed. I can't say that anything besides that I'm blessed. So I had a very high standard to keep, and I wasn't gonna be the one to drop the ball. Whether I'm playing sports, I wasn't gonna drop the ball, or whether I gotta hold my family name high, I wasn't gonna drop the ball either.
I would say for me, it was definitely my family environment as well. That is my biggest support system. My mom, she's worked with Upward Bound. Not sure if you guys have that out here. So she worked with Upward Bound for like 25 years. So I was always with her. Seeing her be in that role and it's crazy that I work with high school kids now. But I saw from an early age how much of an impact she was having on students.
Yeah.
So she always pushed me as well to say, hey, there's more outside of our city where we live. There's more for you to go and accomplish as well. My mom has always been my biggest supporter, me and my sisters. So making sure that we always stayed on track, stayed focused, as well as when we are falling by the wayside, pulling us back up sometimes. But like you said, when it all boils down to having that support system, I think it's really important, especially, and I would say even at going to my HBCU, a lot of my advisors, my professors became like my aunts and my uncles on campus. Mm-hmm. So making sure that my grades are good. I could be in the caf chilling. It's a fried chicken Wednesday, and I have that one advisor that will tap me on the shoulder and be like, hey, I don't know what was going on with you in class last week. You did not get a good grade on my test. We need to go figure out what are you not grasping from the content that I'm providing.
That's what I hear a lot about HBCUs, and I'm glad that you said it really quickly, because there may be people, and I want to make sure that we're talking to everybody who may say, well, I don't have really the support of my parents, or I don't really have the support of my family. And, like, how do you seek out those support systems, if you're not finding it in that family environment? And so I'm glad that you also mentioned that.
Yes. Yeah. And that's really important, and that's one thing that HBCUs were made for as well. And being able to be inspired also from your peers and your mentors on campus. I would say even at my big age, 27, I need a mentor myself. Somebody that can just sometimes
you always need a
put
mentor.
Me in check. Yes, and somebody that has done things that I would like to do and succeeded at them, just so I can see and learn like what their journey was. Everybody's journey is different, of course, but just seeing having somebody to kind of guide you and help you navigate that space.
You wanted to say something?
Oh, I was just gonna say, I think the HBCU space is great for the community environment, and that's something that I tell students all the time when they come to the college fairs. You want to go to a school that cares about you, and actually people know who you are. You're more than just a student ID number.
Yes.
You go to these big time universities that are great. That sometimes some of them are absolutely fabulous, but you are a lot of times just an ID number. So when life starts to hit, you have no one to really empathize with you. So you're kind of left like, oh, can I get through this by myself? And if I can't, what do I do?
Right.
But you go to an HBCU, the professors or even just the advisors themselves as well, they understand that life hits everybody a little bit more, and they're able to work with you.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I tell my students that all the time. Sometimes when you go to a larger school, you may be seen as a number. And I heard most HBCUs, if you're not in our classes for a consecutive number of days, and I let parents know this at college fairs as well, we are knocking at your door. What is going on? How can we help you help yourself with whatever situation it is? What support do you need? What resources can I find for you to help you navigate whatever it is that you're going through? So that support system is everything.
Right. Like, shout out families. Like, you both said that you have such beautiful support systems with your family. I feel you 100%. And like Mel said, like, there are students that, don't have that big support of their family, but I want them to know that in any academic space, like, all of us here are involved in education. Everybody that is in education cares about students.
Yes.
So the fact that you guys are telling us your experiences about being on a campus and having administrators and teachers that care about you, like, hopefully somebody out there takes that into consideration, like, when they're going to school or even in high school. Because I had my vice principal was like, he was my bestie like in high school, and I still had family support, but I had crazy support from him too, like in college, so like students need to make sure that they go out there. I just want to put that out there, like, make sure you go find that administrator that cares about you, because that will really help you throughout your college experience wherever you go, but especially in an HBCU.
And but let me say one more thing. A lot of the time, it doesn't even have to be necessarily an administrator. Find a big homie. Find anybody who you're like, look at the things that they're doing, and I think they're going in the right direction. I want to follow them, and that's okay. It's okay to follow for a little bit, because you got to learn how to follow before you can lead. And I truly and honestly believe that. And I don't know if that's the athlete in me, but I truly believe that. And if you're gonna lead, you gotta lead from the front.
Yeah.
You know, you can't be at the back telling everybody to run faster. You at least got to be at the front. Be like, come on, guys, follow
Doing it
me.
with them.
That's it.
Right.
Yeah, totally agree. Totally agree. So something else that I wanted to ask you guys about too is when you get out into that world and that working space, right? Another place where we can kind of get support or get allies, maybe shall I call it, is amongst colleagues or amongst, you know, our professional peers. So let's talk a little bit about the networking space. You know, a lot of people look at networking as transactional, but like, how do you become a better networker so that it's more of building a connection so that this person is going to think of you when there's an opportunity, or so this person is going to maybe, you know, have your back when something hits the fan, et cetera, et cetera. You know, let's talk about building those types of relationships in the workplace.
Oh, I would say with my experience, I've been working in higher ed for like, I think it's been 4 or 5 years now. I always say when you go to a college fair, you're going to meet so many people from different walks of life that have so many good gems. You may meet directors that have been at their schools for over 20 years, or a new recruiter that's been at their school for a few months that can drop some good gems on you. So I would say being open, speaking to everyone. I make it my mission to make sure I speak to every single body that is going, hopefully, unless it's a huge college fair, but that is in that room. And building those connections, just because, like I said, even with the networking, you never know if other schools have majors that you don't have, that you could also refer or recommend them to students also. So building those connections, being open, just being friendly. Sometimes, especially getting on the road, as coming in as a new recruiter, it's intimidating sometimes. So being friendly, just being a smiling face, and a listening ear if anyone has questions or things of that nature.
I would say just being genuinely yourself. You know, like don't be afraid to. And I tell kids all the time, like my HBCU that I went to and that I work for, we're not the end all be all. You know, like there are other opportunities out there. So whether you need advice, whether it's community college advice, whether it's athletic advice, whether it's real life advice, you showed up to this college fair by yourself, you have no clue what you're doing here, just need to be led in the right direction. Be genuinely yourself. Tell somebody. You know, and I think that is would be the key for me.
And I think it's funny that you say that, because a lot of the times I do have students that come to my table and they'll say, hey, I don't know what I want to do. And I'm like, y'all, do we need to have a come to Jesus meeting? Because we can figure this out together. But that's why we're here. That's why we have resources on our campus to help them figure it out as well. But being able to connect with the students also with networking. And a lot of the times they teach me a lot of things that I don't know, or drop little gems on me. So
the students teach you a lot more than you ever could think of. I feel like they are making me learn something new every day.
And they are brutally honest.
That is one thing.
But you got to be brutally honest with them back. Because some girl asked me today, matter of fact, she said, do you have any snacks on your table? And I said, no, but I got some information for you. Come get this.
Right. That is really important. And I love that you guys mentioned, like, especially like leadership, and I think that's really important. So I just want us to all think about all these things that we talked about and how you guys have leveled up personally. It's like, it sounds so awesome. It's very inspiring to everybody, and you guys are continuing to share your journeys with students every day, which is awesome. So you guys have any like final thoughts about how people out there can level up if they're feeling stagnant, if they don't know what they want to do, if they are struggling? Like, what is like the number one thing that you would tell somebody to do or think when they're trying to level up?
I would say a bad day does not make a bad life. It's okay to have your moment, but pick yourself up and keep going. Sometimes things are not going to work out. God's plans and our plans are two different things. Right. So sometimes it's not going to work out how you imagined it. But embrace your journey. Embrace the struggle. Embrace every aspect of it. And be grateful, like I said, for where you are and how far you have came, because you haven't always been in that position. And just I don't know. Sometimes you just have to change your way of thinking as well, and to help navigate that space.
Yeah, for me, I would say be where your feet are. You know, like wherever you are at in life, be there, be present. You know, that's the only way that you're gonna get to where you want to go next. You know, I think a lot of people get caught, and I'm guilty of this as well. Looking so far in the future, you forget to be where your feet are. Yeah. So yeah, you want to be a millionaire, you're beating yourself up in the present because you're not one, but you're looking so far in the future, you can't even, you know, fix yourself where you are right now.
Yeah.
You know, so just be where your feet are. You know, be present, be confident, and be yourself.
Yes.
I love it. I don't have anything to add to that. Do you?
I don't really think so. They really said it
It was just so well put.
They're inspiring me. I'm like,
Right.
where are my feet at?
That's a Nick Saban. That's a Nick Saban quote. All right, shout out to Tricky Nicky. All right, Tricky Nicky.
I absolutely love all the gems both of you have dropped today. Thank you so much for joining us. I really hope that all of you out there have gained something today, have gained hopefully something that'll make you a little more confident, stand a little taller, and just feel more empowered to be yourself. And yeah, anything else you want to say, Kobi-Rae?
I just hope that everybody found at least one thing out of this today that they can hold on to, because I want everybody watching to level themselves up. If you're coming on YouTube and watching this podcast, you are in the process of trying to level yourself up, because you're opening your mind to trying to learn something about how to make your life better or what path you need to go on. So I'm just wishing the best to everybody out there, moms, cousins, brothers, sisters.
Yes.
And thank you guys for being here.
Thank
of course. Thank you guys for having
us. And shout out to Dr. Price.
Man, shout out to Dr.
Always
Price.
shout out Dr. Price.
The biggest Yankee fan out there.
And so we are here for you. FYI, your last resort, if you need a level up, is the National College Resources Foundation, okay? ncrfoundation.org. We have resources for college, career, beyond. So we are your one-stop shop for leveling up. Ask us anything. We promise we'll answer. Thank you so much for tuning in. Once again, I'm Melanie Eke.
And I'm Kobi-Rae.
And you're watching Life Lessons on NCRF TV. Woo-woo. See you next time.
Bye.